So this is the third match of the 5 games, and we get a airfield domination match here on Britain single lander. So the approach to airfield dom. So this match here is a pretty good match because it's pretty close. The enemy team has quite a lot of players that are actively trying to win the game, which is quite rare. And so, yeah, it's a pretty good game. So my starting line for my 2.7 lineup is the P-38s. P-38s, they're fast. They've got the nose-mounted cannons and machine guns. And they have the triple landing gear. So they make them very good landers, especially at high speeds. So my approach here in this initial engagement is go in, get the landing, and then deny the airfield to the enemy. In this case, there was the MiG and the Spitfire that went into land. So I went in and took them out. Now, I went into the head-on with the Spitfire and I rammed. I tried to avoid the ram, but it didn't go so well. And I'm not too... I'm quite happy with how it went out, because even though they still capped the airfield after that, one guy managed to get the cap and take out both their landers. The third lander I didn't get, he came in afterwards. But for me, in that one play, the way I calculate, that was completely fine. They still, because as I said, I'm playing solo here. If I had my squad here, they wouldn't have been able to get the airfield. I'd have my second guy would have gone in, made sure that the third guy that got the cap there, he wouldn't have gotten close to the airfield. But we have to make do here. So my approach here at the opening engagements on a airfield dom of a single lander is that you want to try take the fight as far back away from the airfield towards the enemy spawn. And the P-38s, for me, they work really well because you don't want to turn fight in a P-38. That's not one of the strengths in the P-38. It's fast, it has very small profile, and it's got the nose-mounted weaponry. So it makes it really good at head-on attacks. And that works out well here because I'm trying to just go straight over the airfield, straight into the spawn, and try to take out as many guys that are coming from the spawn to the airfield and take the fight as far back. And in the P-38, it's sort of like how it's designed. I know the P-38 wasn't designed to do any of this, but in-game, to fit my playstyle to approach this match, it's basically designed perfectly for what I try to do. So that's why I'm a big fan of the P-38. So I've got to knock this guy out here because he's currently on the airfield. You can't cap the airfield if there's enemy ground units on it, or if there's an enemy player that's on it. I tried my best to try knock out that F2A with a long-range shot. Got a crit, but it wasn't enough. So as you can see, there's about, I believe, 4, maybe 5 enemy players that are like actively trying to capture the airfield. They don't always pursue it as relentlessly as I am, which, as you can see in the gameplay vid right here, I've died a lot. And this is the price you have to pay to win the game, especially if you're flying solo. You don't trust anybody else to land because it's very rare that it happens. In this game, you see quite a few people landing, but you've got to be the one to take the initiative and go in and try. Now I get some help here. That Blueberry actually does cap it, so I get a break. And what we need to do is just try to hold on to the airfield and deny it to the enemy. Now, I managed to neutralize it there in the P-40, but it didn't capture it. It stopped. That's because further back down the airfield, there was an enemy aircraft that was also landing to try to capture it. Now, I'm not sure what happened to him. I think he got shot down as well, so the base stayed neutral. So it's still a pretty close game. And PBM here is trying to go in and land. And there's 2 other strike aircraft at the furthest end of the airfield there. They all landed. And that Swordfish there, I'm pretty sure he stopped. So we've got to go all the way to the other end of the airfield and try and knock him out. Now with the A36, I don't run the gun pods. I prefer to keep the maneuverability and the speed of the A36 and use that as the advantage. I'm not saying that using gun pods is bad or anything. It's like more of a personal preference thing, but it is an option out there. I see some people, whenever the topic comes up, for new players especially, they just say you got to take the gun pods. No, you don't. You always have the option. There are benefits, advantages and disadvantages to taking and not taking it. Make a pretty bad landing here, but here's what we call in cabs the belly landing, and usually you want to do this as a last-ditch attempt, or if you really need to get the airfield cap, just ditch the aircraft. Don't crash, but break the prop, break your gears, and get down fast. Use the friction of sliding across the runway to make an immediate stop. It gets you the cap. You crash the aircraft, but you get the cap. And in this case here, what happens is that I'm not waiting for the repair. The only reason why I haven't J'd out is because so long as my aircraft is considered by the game not to be dead, and I'm on the airfield, as I said before, nobody else can cap. So I try my best to just stay on the airfield for as long as possible to deny the airfield. I burn a backup here because it's a little bit too close for my comfort, and go back in the P-38. I botched the landing again, but yeah, well, it happens. Burn a second backup. And ran into the carcass of that HE-100 there. Well, the game has gone on long enough that most of the players in the game, they're out of aircraft. They've all been burned out by attrition, and my team came out on top. So that's the game right there. Much closer than most airfield domination games, especially single lander games go. But it was a good match. Six caps and 13 kills.